Sorry for the delay. Could we all please rise for the prayer? Dear God, as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to work. Amen. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could the clerk please call the roll?
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo?
Here.
Councilor Rourke?
Here.
Councilor Samaras?
Here.
Councilor Belanja?
Here.
Mayor Elliott?
Here.
Councilor Kennedy?
Here.
Councilor Leahy?
Here.
Councilor Martin?
Here.
9 present.
9 present. This is a special meeting. Notice was appropriately posted. Advertisement was placed in the newspaper to have a special meeting. I'd like to just read the notice. Notice hereby given as required by Rule 6 of the City of Lowell City Council rules, that the Lowell City Council will hold a special meeting of the Lowell City Council in the council chambers on Wednesday, March 12th, 2014 at 7 p.m. Notice is hereby given as requested by the Lowell City Council that the Lowell City Council will hold a hearing open to the public for consideration of public participation regarding proposed criteria and qualifications on the selection of a city manager and city auditor. The hearing will be held on Wednesday, March 12th, 2014 at 7 p.m. in the City Council chamber at City Hall. All hearings will conclude no later than 10 p.m. The public is invited to attend. Before we begin the process, I just want to let the public know, while the names were released to the public, the purpose of this hearing is to solicit input on qualifications, traits, those qualifications you would like to see in the city manager and the city auditor. So we respectfully request that no candidates' names be used or mentioned tonight. So that's the intent of the public hearing. Discussion from members of the council. Council Marcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we begin, and I know the public will be participating through you to Mary Callery, if I could ask her a couple of questions pertaining to the process.
Ms. Callery.
Mrs. Callery, I was just wondering, the 23 applicants that did not get selected, was a letter of thanks, in recognition of our appreciation for their applications and interest in the city sent to them?
Yes, they were sent both to the people that applied to the city manager's position and the city auditor's position.
Right.
And I also notified all the finalists today. I spoke to them directly.
Okay, good. That's the second question. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you, Council. I should have let Acting City Manager Gary and myself had a conference call with Mary, asking her to send out the letters and notify all other candidate, the finalists as well. Yeah. So with that, anything further to add? Ms. Callery, I know that we got an email today regarding the city, at least the city auditor position. One candidate is not dropped out. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. So with that, any further questions, any further concerns before we open up the public hearing? The only thing that we would request from those wishing to speak, if you could just kindly sign in and print your name and address, that would be very helpful to the clerk, just for the record. So with that, we'll open the public hearing for those wishing to come and speak on the position of either. Why don't we do the city manager first, and then if there's no objection, unless candidates want to speak on both the auditor and the manager, but we'll start with the city manager.
Great, thank you. Good evening. My name is Deb Chassé, and I am a proud resident of Lowell, and I also serve as the executive director of both House of Hope and its sister agency, House of Hope Housing. I thank the City Council for this opportunity tonight to address a matter of such importance to the city. At House of Hope, we assist very low-income and homeless residents of Lowell as they strive to be productive and self-sufficient. In so doing, they become fully engaged in the community and they interact daily with numerous public and private agencies, including our schools and our libraries, our housing authority, the health center, the hospitals, and more. These families contribute to our community. They work, they use our public transportation, and they shop here. As you deliberate upon your choice for our next city manager, I ask that you keep the needs of our poorer citizens foremost in your minds. I am especially interested in assurances that the next city manager will have a firm understanding and commitment to new housing that serves poorer members of our community. The new city manager needs to understand that housing development for poorer people benefits the community by providing an opportunity for families to thrive and ensuring that children are not forced to live unsafe, nomadic, and stressful lives. New housing, like the kind House of Hope Housing has developed, enhances neighborhoods. It strengthens families, and it pays property taxes. Low-income people are not a group, a demographic, if you will, that often speak with one voice. As such, they have little influence on public policy, and they truly depend upon the leaders of our community, like you and I, to represent their needs. House of Hope has enjoyed a collaborative and a successful relationship with the City of Lowell, and as we have worked together to achieve our mutual goals. And I am asking each of you to consciously put the needs of poor, homeless, and housing insecure residents up front when making your choice for our city manager. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Jose.
Good evening, my name is Bill Daly, live on Floyd Street in Lowell. My oratory skills aren't like the previous speaker, but I'll give it to you straight from the hip. As a taxpayer in the city of Lowell, I can't see hiring a bleeding heart liberal to be a city manager. As we all know, the school system is the biggest drain in the city, and if we don't do something about the tax base here and giving everything away, this city's going to take a nosedive. And I can't see us hiring a politician to run the city. I think we should have a professional city manager, like the previous city manager, running the city. We can't afford any more of these liberals running the city or the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daly.
Hello, my name is Patrick Farmer. I'm actually a Centerville resident and the current president of CNAG. I want to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity, the public, an opportunity to speak. I do believe that the next city manager should be a professional city manager, somebody with experience running a larger city like Lowell, whether it's a large town, municipality, somebody with experience, budget experience, running a city. Let's see here. Sorry, I have some notes. Somebody who's also willing to go out into the neighborhoods, speak to the residents, see, what it is that we have to offer, what we have to say. Not everybody can come to the city council meetings, but we do get a lot of members showing up, at our neighborhood groups. They tell us things. We pass it to the council. It was always great when a city manager would come to our meeting so we could speak directly to him. Same thing, pass it on to the city council. I really think that, we need to be moving in the same direction that we were heading. We can't really see it take the city go in the opposite direction. The bond rating, everything that we've strived so hard to bring Lowell through the recession, and it didn't hit us, our city, as hard as it hit other cities. And I think having a professional city manager and a great city council that worked with the city manager made that happen. So I really just think that definitely needs to be somebody with experience, professional city manager. Thank you.
Mr. Farmer, could we have your address, please?
What's that?
For the record,
Oh,
could we
yes,
have your
it's
address?
84 Vernon Street, Lowell, Mass.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Amy Saber Farmer. I live at 84 Vernon Street. I'm also a Centerville resident. And I'm here as a resident, a taxpayer, a voter, to ask the council to please consider who you're hiring for the city of Lowell. The people of Lowell deserve a professional. They deserve somebody who's going to work with them, work with the neighborhood groups. As the previous people were saying, somebody like this is essential to the city. We deserve a professional manager to continue, the progress that we have been making the past several years. And we're seeing a lot of positive changes. Some of those are actually just getting rolling. So if you could please consider everybody's voice in your decision of hiring the next city manager, and professionals to work with you and run the city as well as the neighborhood groups as we all work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Farmer.
My name is Dan McNeil, and I live at 200 Market Street, Lowell. The last time we had a politician as a city manager, our bond rating went in the toilet. I suggest that we not repeat this mistake and that we hire a city manager with experience managing a city with education and training in finance and management. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McNeil.
Hi, my name is Ken Favreau, born and raised in Lowell. As most of you know, I'm a veteran. I vote in my elections. That's a big honor for me. I care about all of you guys, and I think you all are doing a wonderful job now. And I want you to continue doing that. You set it up right. You guys set it up so that you weren't going to get some input from us. We weren't going to be telling you who to vote for. And that's what it should have been. And that's what it was meant to be. It's somebody, wanted to be the, I gotcha. They'd rather get their article in a paper, That's too bad because, as one of the councilors said last night, it's too bad that the press doesn't care for the city as much as you folks do. That being said, again, I'm a vet, I'm on a fixed income, and I don't want my taxes going up. You guys already know the taxes are going up a minimum of 3.5%. That's before you hire any policemen. And you guys, most of you have said 5 wasn't enough for you. You may have changed your mind since then, since you talked to the chief. That's all good. I voted for you folks to run the city. Do it. You're doing a good job. Don't knock it now. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Favreau.
My name is Anne Marie Page. I reside at 26 Fremont Street in Lowell, and I am the president of the Citywide Neighborhood Council.
Hi, and my name is Nancy Judge. I reside at 28 Foch Street, and I am chair of the Highlands Neighborhood Association. And instead of repeating what Anne Marie is going to say, I'm just standing here next to her.
Okay, on the different phone calls and what we say, emails or whatever terminology you want to use that we've received, it seems to come down to pretty much this. First of all, we want to say thank you for calling this meeting tonight. Even though the place isn't jammed, evidently there's only a dozen of us really worried about your decision. But, here we are. So we want to say thank you. We appreciate you took the time to come here so that if anyone from the city wanted to come down and talk to you, they could. So what we're looking for and hoping for our new city manager is someone educated with experience in the field of managing and somebody with the knowledge in the field of managing city planning, finances, a municipality in Massachusetts, labor relations, public safety, affordable housing. These seem to be at the top of the list. We'd like someone with a business head. This is a business. It's a multi-million-dollar business, and we need somebody with a good business head to run it. Someone that will bring Lowell's projects to fruition. We're in good shape. We've got a lot done. And as Mr. Farmer said, we want to take 2 steps forward, not 3 steps backwards. Someone that puts together a smart team. We had a very smart administrative team in this city. We need another smart team. And we need a leader that is a good team player. We all have to be team players on the same team. Someone that is a mover and a shaker. Someone that realizes that Lowell is a diversified city made up of various neighborhoods. Someone that is willing to work with the neighborhoods, the neighborhood groups, and we'd like to see some accessibility. We want the smartest person you can find for this job, and we want the most bang for our buck. We thank you again for all your time and hard work.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Page and Ms. Judge.
Good evening, counselors. I wasn't sure what order we were in, and I didn't have a chance to type my notes, so forgive me if I stutter and stumble a little bit. My name is Alexandra Tubielli. I live at 33 Middle Street, and I would like to first thank you all for being here tonight and for the service that you're providing to the city. I'd like to start my contribution today by telling you a little bit more about myself. When I was younger, I guess, I don't know if it would be elementary school or high school, I used to have these conversations with my dad all the time, and he would tell me, Alex, wherever you go, whatever you do, people will look at you and they'll judge you, and they'll question whether you should be somewhere. People will look at you and they'll say, here's this woman, what is she doing here? Or they'll say, here's this young person, what is she doing here? Or they'll look at you and they'll notice what color you are and say, there's no way that you could be here. It must be because of something else someone did for you. And he told me that no matter what I did, there would always be someone looking at one or any combination of those things at me across the room. But he told me there was something I could do about it. And that what I could do was everywhere I went, every job that I had, every sport that I took up, you did your best. You left it all in the field. And you lived a life so that you didn't have to look over your shoulder, or you had lived your life so that people could say whatever they wanted, but as long as you knew that you did your best, you could stand on that, and nobody would take that away from you. And I took that to heart for every job I have applied for, every position I've held, every volunteer position that I've held, because I believe that that's not just this has some crazy idea that my dad had, but I think that's a value that a lot of people have. And I mention that just because it's relevant. I'm sure many of you had those conversations with your parents and had those conversations with your kids or your nieces and your nephews. And it's relevant again because when we're talking about the hiring for the city manager, this is a highly public position, and whatever decision you all make is going to be judged not just by the other counselors, but by the thousands and hundreds of thousands of people in this city. I don't envy you at all for being in that position because it's not fun when people criticize the things that you do. But again, I'll tell you what my dad told me, and that is, as long as you do your best and exercise good judgment, you can stand on the choice you made, and you won't have to worry about what anybody says. That being said, more about me. I came from a small town, and my family is really large. So there was a day where I had a position on a basketball team or in a high school program or in a college program where people said to me, that's so-and-so's daughter, or she's this. This is why she's here. But I made it through those times because I knew that there was nobody who wanted to be somewhere or who worked as hard to be somewhere as I did. And if they didn't believe me, that wasn't my problem. I'm speaking here for myself, and obviously there are not a lot of people here today, but I know many people that I've talked to at work and also in my building, and my neighbors feel the same way that I do. And I think even before the names of finalists became public, there were definitely some concerns and speculations about who would be the new city manager. And many people that I spoke to felt discouraged because they were worried that the person we would get would not be our manager because of their resume or their experience that they've had, but because maybe they knew somebody or they were related to somebody. And I had intended on saying that before a lot of stuff came public, so it's not my intention to say those things and to point fingers at people, but just kind of to prove a point. And that is, again, when we're hiring for this position, I urge you all to please review all of the candidates and consider very strongly, because I can't tell you all what to do, hiring a professional city manager. Many of the details for experience that were outlined by the speakers before were much more specific and better than the ones that I had come up with, but I am in agreement as well. There are a lot of, Lowell is in a good place. I feel like I'd like to continue moving on to that space. I am a homeowner, I am a taxpayer, and I will be raising my kids in these schools. So it is very important to me that our city manager is not just a professional, but someone who will be able to do the work that is required to continue Lowell on the path that we're on now. I think I read somewhere that our bond rating went up again as of last week. I didn't have a chance to verify that, but again, something important that our city manager should be able to do is be familiar with managing a municipality and budgets, because that is the legs that our city and our programs and our roads and our schools stand on. So I just want to thank you all again for your time and your service to the city, and in a nutshell, to urge you to please consider hiring a professional city manager. I look forward to seeing who you hire, and not only that, working with that person and holding them accountable. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Oh, great.
Hello, hi. My name is Angel Suero, and I live in 17 James Street. I am a proud resident of Lowell, and I am also a proud immigrant. Lowell is an extremely diverse city, socioeconomically and ethnically. Lowell is also a very large city with over 100,000 residents. It is one of the largest cities in the state of Massachusetts. Whoever is hired must either have some experience with really large cities, with really diverse populations, or they must also have experience with, they must either have experience with very large cities or with very diverse populations. Also, as a student hoping to work in policy, I know that jobs like this take a lot of paperwork, and it is important to hire somebody with very excellent communication skills and with somebody who's willing to have a lot of clarity with the public when they run the city. I really hope that you take these into consideration when you are choosing our next city manager, and thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Others? Anyone else want to speak?
Hi, my name is Madeline Nash. I'm the Director of Real Estate with the Coalition for a Better Acre, located at 517 Moody Street. I didn't prepare anything to say, but since I had the opportunity, I would just like to say that CBA has had a great relationship since I've been there, which is almost 8 years now, working with the planning department and the city manager. And I would just hope that that can continue. It's been a very professional relationship. We've gotten a lot done that I think has been good for the neighborhoods, investing in distressed neighborhoods, fixing up blighted buildings, providing foreclosure prevention counseling to homeowners facing foreclosure, and a variety of different services that we offer. So I would just hope that that level of professionalism would continue, and I look forward to working with whomever you think is the best choice. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to come and speak on behalf of the city manager search and qualifications? If not, I guess that portion of the hearing is closed. What is the wish of the body? Discussion, Councilor Mercia?
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out to be here this evening. It was a great input, and these are the same values that we have in selecting the next city manager. I just wanted to say, I don't know if we're opened up for anything else, because we didn't advertise for anything but a public hearing, so we're not able to talk about the next step, or can we?
I spoke to the solicitors this afternoon, and I asked her exactly that question. We'd like to set some time frames for interviews, and she didn't say anything wrong with that.
She didn't say that we couldn't.
She did not say that we could not.
Okay,
correct?
so then can I offer a suggestion now?
Please do, Councilor.
I would suggest that we split the interviews to 3 applicants on one night and 3 applicants on another night, like we have done in the past, rather than do 6 at one time or whatever. I would suggest, as I'm saying, only because this has happened in the past, I'm only being so darn old as dirt. I like to bring in what I remember from years ago, so I would suggest that each city manager candidate gets a 90-minute interview, of which each counselor would get 10 minutes to question the candidate. Each city manager candidate will get a 5-minute opening statement and a 5-minute closing statement on top of the 90 minutes, because if you figure 10 minutes from 9 of us, there's your time. So, I mean, I'm just offering suggestions. I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm just opening it up for discussion, and that's my recommendation.
Okay, motion to interview city manager candidates on 2 nights. That would mean 3 candidates each night, with a 90-minute interview, 5-minute opening, 5-minute closing statement. It's on the floor for a discussion. Councilor Belanger, then Councilor Kennedy, then Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do like Councilor Mercia's thought, but time-wise, is that actually mathematically possible to squeeze that? If we start at 6:30, that's nearly 2 hours per candidate. We'd be closing in on the midnight hour.
Right.
So I like the way Councilor Mercia's thinking, quite frankly, but is 2 better than 3? Should that be looked at? Or I'd just like to get input from my colleagues on that one.
Well, historically, I think it was I'll recognize other councilors. I do remember the process. We did typically interview 3 candidates. I think the time frame was just a little bit smaller. I do remember, there was one time when we were here waiting for candidates because the 90 minutes was just a little bit too long. But Councilor Kennedy, then Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 3 things. First of all, I'm not sure if the public was aware that they could speak on the auditor, and maybe nobody has any interest in the auditor. The second thing is, if it would be in order at the right time, I would like to offer a motion that we've had one person drop out, one of the candidates for auditor, and so I'd like to move that a 4th person be added from the list, however the tally turned out. And then the third thing is regarding the matter that we're speaking about now. I think one of the things that we have to consider, if it's going to be 90 minutes, which seems like a long time, there's a fatigue factor that sets in, and so I wonder if that's fair to the 3rd candidate of the evening, if we are going that long with each one. Now, maybe 10 minutes for each city councilor is too long. Maybe 5 minutes is better, and that would contract the amount of time. But I think that Councilor Belanger makes a good statement. If we're going to have, we have 9 people, if you give everybody 10 minutes, that's 90 minutes of closing and opening statement. That's like 100 minutes. You're talking a long time to do the 3 candidates.
Council, on the first item, I did open the hearing saying that we should do the city manager first and then the auditor after. We did confirm that the one person did drop out from the auditor selection process. So I think we should just go through the city manager first, and then
Okay,
if the
fine.
public wants to speak on the auditor, I thought that was a good way to approach it. But Council Martin?
Yes, I think I kind of agree with the points. If it's going to be 90 minutes, then I think it needs to be three nights, not two. I'm not sure it needs to be 90 minutes, however. I think in the past, that my memory is, the first few questions, everyone takes their 5 minutes, but then by the time you get to the 8th questioner, pretty much most of the questions have been asked and answered, and there's, and so not everybody uses their full allotted time, even if it were 5 minutes. So if people think 10 minutes is fine, I have no objection to that, but I do think we'd have to spread it out the number of evenings. I also don't think that we should limit necessarily the opening statements either. I think some of the candidates may want to come in with, a very broad vision of what they think for the city, and they might have a 10 or 15-minute presentation. They may not. So I think that should be kind of left to the discretion of the candidates. And, I would think we could accomplish these all in an hour, but if we're giving everyone 10 minutes, it's more like 2 hours, and then we got to go to a third night, is my view.
Okay, I agree. Council Leahy, then Council Samaras?
Thank you. I agree that, I was thinking maybe we could fit 3 in a night, but I'm not sure. I just am very leery on how much limiting the opening statement and closing statements too, because, if this person, we're gonna hire them, they're gonna be here for 7 years. If they do have a presentation, or they wanna, talk about their vision, and it does take 15 or 20 minutes, I mean, we don't probably wanna sit here for an hour in an opening statement, but, we do wanna hear what they have to say. And I think that's telling too, because if someone comes in and just introduces themselves in 3 minutes, you're wondering if they take 10, 15 minutes and they're kind of expressing what they know about the city and where they would like to take us to the next level. I think that's important. So I think we should, have a little flexibility on the opening statement maybe, or the closing statements. But, I'll just go with what the body thinks. It might be close cutting 3 people in. I would like to do it, but, so.
Okay, I think generally speaking, from the processes that we have gone through, whether it's the clerk, the auditor, city manager, generally speaking, I think we have to give them some guidelines, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes, and really it's been very flexible. It's not as if there's a 5-minute time frame, but I think if you're a candidate, you want to have some type of idea of the format, beginning, closing, but to hold them to a certain time. Maybe a good compromise is, it was typically a 5-minute question and answer per counselor, with ample time to respond. And it typically has been plenty of time to respond. Opening and closing statement. So, with that, about an hour interview seems to have worked in the past. And if it's a little bit more, it seems like maybe a compromise between an hour and a half and 45 minutes, so to speak, just to have that little bit of time frame. So does the 60 minutes make some sense? And if it does run over a little bit, I can't remember a time that it did happen. I think as Council Martin said, after the first or series of questions, the answers become a little bit shorter. So that's just a thought. Council Mercy did make the motion. I didn't ask for a second on it, but at least.
Well, I didn't actually make a motion.
Right.
I just made a suggestion.
So, I'm sorry, Council Samaras.
When you set up the interview process, it's difficult, because the thing is, if it's too short, it's really insulting to the candidate and it sends a message that we don't want to listen. If it's too long, what happens, the audience, the people listening to the answers to the questions, it can become lost. So the thing is, you need to find balance. And I've found in the past an hour and 10 minutes at the most is adequate, more than adequate. The thing that I do believe, though, we should set up really parameters for the opening and closing statement. In other words, Mr. Leahy's correct. I mean, somebody could come in, I want to do a PowerPoint presentation, I want 25 minutes, and I have a 15-minute closing statement. I think we have to decide, do we allow PowerPoint presentation, or do we allow handouts? What's our expectation with that, with their introduction of themselves? Should it be just something oral, or do we allow them to have handouts, or do we allow them to use a PowerPoint with today's standards? And I think we have to limit the time for the opening remarks and the closing remarks. By giving them parameters, they're better prepared. And I don't see us, though, with a stopwatch. And usually, I mean, if you say, okay, the 10 minutes, can you close? I mean, and they take another minute to 2 minutes to close. That's not going to be, harmful. But it gives, you establish parameters and you give a reasonable time. I think it works well for everybody.
I thought we saw our last PowerPoint presentation 2 weeks ago, but maybe not. Do we want to allow PowerPoints or not? Somebody want to, I'll entertain a motion that we at least proceed with 3 candidates for, Council Martin, 3 candidates for an hour?
I don't know that I'd want to restrict it. I don't necessarily think that's the most effective thing to do. So I'm not,
Right.
but if somebody thinks that's their strong suit. But,
Okay. Okay. Council Belanger, then Councilor.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Council Milonazo, Council Belanger, Councilor Kennedy.
Thank you. If I could just kind of weigh in on the parameters, having, like a number of my colleagues have gone through this before, not only for the previous city manager selection, but superintendent and city clerk and so forth. I think an hour is enough time. I think that if we each have 5 to 6 to 7 minutes to ask questions, and then with an opening and closing statement, be it 5 to 3 minutes with a 5-minute opening, 3-minute closing would work, in my opinion, fine. We may also want to give some thought to whether or not we want to have an interview session on a Saturday, because we did do a Saturday with, I believe, it was the superintendent search the last time, where we had the candidates come in. Whether or not my colleagues want to at least explore that possibility, depending upon everyone's schedule. But I think we could, if we limited it to about an hour, we could do 2 nights of interviews and do the 6 city manager candidates. But again, I just offer the idea of having it on a Saturday, say from 10 until 1 or 2, if we wanted to do something like that as well. So just to put it out there. From the standpoint of PowerPoint presentations, again, I don't really think it's necessary to go through that. But I suppose you don't want to limit them, but I would, when the HR folks are talking to the candidates, I would really not encourage that, I guess, my point.
Okay. Council Belanger, then Councilor Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'd first like to say that I am, this is a time I've said in previous meetings where, as a freshman council, I'm leaning on some of my colleagues at this time. I mean, there's 3 or 4 of them with experience has been through this process, and I'm leaning on all of you at this time. But I think it's, yes, I think 3 is in one night. It is possible in one sense, but I think it's a lot to absorb at the same time. I just like to, I'm more anxious as anybody else to get a city manager in place and get the city on solid ground. However, I don't think an extra meeting would be detrimental at this point. I think the 3rd candidate of the night could get shortchanged a little bit, being a little restless or whatnot. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to interview 2 candidates per night, a 10-minute opening statement, not to exceed 10 minutes per counselor, a 5-minute closing statement, and to add to it, Council now suggesting that Saturdays are not a problem with me. I'd be more than willing to do that. But I just think the 3rd would be a bit much in the end. So I don't want to shortchange any councilors. So again, I'd like to make a motion, 2 candidates per evening, 10-minute opening statement, not to exceed 10 minutes per counselor, 5-minute closing statement. And I think that will be well absorbed by all the council. Thank you very much.
Second.
Second on the motion, Councilor Kennedy. You second on the motion. Did you want to speak?
I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Discussion? Council Leahy?
No, I think it's a good idea, but I would like to be a little flexible with the opening and closing statement, so I assume that wouldn't be a problem anyways, right? We're gonna stick right to 5 minutes?
Well, the motion is for 10-minute opening. And his motion is for 10-minute opening statement
All right.
and 10-minute question and answer per city councilor.
Mr. Mayor, if I may chime in 1 second, to Council Leahy, that, I don't expect him, if he goes 10 and a half, 11 minutes, I don't expect him to be gabbled down, but that's a rough, they do need timelines and getting into this, but no, 10, 12 minutes, I think it's flexible to a point.
And how much for the closing?
5.
Do another 10 at the end, and that'll be good?
If you'd like to make that amendment, Council, by all means.
So 10 questions and then 10-minute closing. That'd be good.
So the motion on the floor that was seconded by Councilor Kennedy was to interview 2 candidates per night, 10-minute opening, 5-minute closing, with 10 minutes per city councilor. So we're looking at 90 minutes, an hour, 100 minutes, 105 minutes, and if you...
To amend the last 5 minutes.
Okay, motion to amend...
That the closing statement
The closing
be
statement...
up to 10 minutes.
Up to 10 minutes. Motion by Council Leahy. Second? Second on the motion? Second on the motion to amend. Motion to amend to include an additional 5 minutes in the closing statement. We want a roll call? Discussion on the amendment? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So, back to the original motion as amended. Further discussion? Roll call?
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milonazo?
Yes.
Council Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
Yes.
Council Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Council Kennedy?
Yes.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Martin?
Yes.
9 yeas. Motion carries. So moving on to, should we set up interviews for the city manager before we moving on to the city auditor process? So there are 6 candidates. We'll need 3 evenings of interviews. Correct? Councilor Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to set up it, but don't forget, we have a few candidates that coming from quite a distance. So I guess we would need to check with their schedules, see what's good for them. So I don't know if we can exactly set times to maybe.
Well, I think we have to at least establish some timeframes.
Okay.
To give these candidates whether they can make it or not, correct? So we did receive, Ms. Kelly, can you just, there is an update on a Robert J. Bruner Jr. He is from Michigan. He's a candidate from Michigan. He did take another job in Ohio. Apparently he is, Ms. Kellery spoke to him, so do you want to indicate what?
Yeah, he actually just wanted to let us know that he left the city manager's position in Michigan, and he has just an interview in Ohio on April 16th, but he was still interested in the position.
Okay, just an interview?
It's just an interview.
Okay. Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. So on that candidate, we had, I had asked, what's our responsibility? Do we have to pay for the person to come to the city to be interviewed? Can we set up a interview over the, internet? I'd rather do something where we're face-to-face versus a phone interview, but how has that worked in the past?
We've never had a candidate from Michigan before.
Okay.
That I can remember. All candidates that we have interviewed attended the interview here in City Hall.
Are we under any through you to Ms. Callery, are we under any obligation? What's the proper procedure, I guess?
Okay, we had, for the chief of police, we had somebody from out of town. I'm not sure whether it was California or not. So we interviewed on a conference call. And then obviously, there was another chief selected, so we didn't end up flying him in here. But that would have been something that the city would have done.
So I guess I'd ask that, I mean, I would prefer to do it face-to-face if we have the technology, but a phone conference call would work too.
So what is your intent, Counselor?
Well, I guess my question is, he's gonna be a candidate, right? He's gonna be set up for an interview, so we should decide
Right.
on how we want to interview him.
Okay. Counselor Kennedy?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe this guy is doing an interview in Ohio. So I don't know if he's flying there or what it is, but I imagine that if he's really serious about this position, that he would probably prefer to be here for the interview rather than to do it over the phone or like that. However, it seems to me that given that there's candidates locally and candidates that are far away, and that they all have different schedules, that it might be easier if Human Resources and the clerk's office and the mayor's office got in touch with all of these people and try to come up with 3 times, and then just come with those 3 times to the city council. And then if everybody's acceptable, that might be easier than trying to, I think it might be easier to try to fit us into their schedule than to try to fit them into our schedule. And, we're all here, we all live in this city, and it's a lot easier for us. And it just seems like that might be a smoother way of moving forward, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Counselor Rourke?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councilor Kennedy's idea. If we put something on for next Tuesday's agenda that gives Ms. Callery almost a week to get in touch with these candidates, line something up, and that can be brought to our attention next Tuesday, then we can set forth the times and dates going forward that way.
Okay. Ms. Callery, do you have something?
Sorry.
I personally just think we have to give some type of parameters to these folks. I mean, they're interested in applying, they applied to the city, and at least give them some time. If they can't make those time frames, then maybe we can accommodate them, but I think to have Ms. Callery go out and call 6 people and say, what is the availability of your schedule, is going to be very, very challenging. If we can say, we're interviewing on, say give them 3 nights, and if they can't make any of those 3 nights, then I'm sure we are willing to accommodate them at a later date. But to have her call 6 people and say, we don't know when we're setting up candidates, I think we need to look a little bit more organized myself. So, Councilor Rourke?
Yeah, my intention, Mr. Mayor, was that, Mrs. Callery could call them and say, we have A, B, and C open. These are the 3 nights.
Right.
When can you get here? When can you?
If they can't make it, I think we clearly will. We will accommodate them. But Councilor Kennedy, then Councilor Samaras.
Mr. Mayor, I guess what I thought was that the 3 of you would set the parameters. And then, you're not going to get through 4 calls and everybody can show up, and then you get to the 5th and 6th one and they can't come, and so they have to throw all the balls up in the air. I think that you set the parameters, but at the same time, until you speak to these people, you don't know how readily they can be available. But I would like it if we could do this all in say 1 week or in a pretty short time. But I guess if we move forward this way, then you people would just set the parameters and just work it out. 3 people working it out is easier than trying to get 9 people to work it out.
Well, can we agree to set 3 dates next week? This is how it's typically worked in the past, and it has been successful. And if it doesn't, I can't remember a time when it didn't work, but I just want to make sure members are available, so we're not reaching out to candidates and we set up a time and then someone can't make it. So, 'cause I know Councilor Leahy is out of town for some period of time as well, so.
April, yep.
Councilor Mercia? I'm sorry, Councilor Samaras was waiting, I'm sorry.
Sorry, parameters are important, but could we set up 3 nights plus the Saturday as the, as an optional day? Because I think that would work for some candidates. So we're giving them 3 good nights, but also with the option of Saturday. This way we can, set our own times, and I think that's, really giving them a lot of latitude and options.
Okay. So, Councilor Mercia.
So, Mr. Mayor, it seems like the last week in March is sufficient. The 26th, 27th, 28th, that'd be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, with Saturday, the 29th. I think we don't have anything going on then. We do the previous week, but if you could say we have these dates available, 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th, the whole last week starting on Wednesday in March, if that's soon enough.
What's the wish of the body? Do we want to wait 2 weeks? Well, I guess it'd be 10 days before we start the interview process.
That sounds fair.
Council Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I agree with Councilor Mercia that this week, we can forget, I mean, obviously nothing's going to happen this week, but I would try and set it up for next week. At least three
Well,
out
I
of
think the motion is for the following week. It's not for
It's
next
for the
week.
last,
for the last 2 weeks?
week in the month.
Okay. Okay, I guess, that would give, let's not forget, we have 2 of the candidates are from Lowell. 3 others are in New England, 2-3 hour drive, say, on average, and we have 1 coming from quite a ways. But, okay, I think that's more than ample. If we can get 1 or 2 in next week, that would be great.
Yeah,
But I'm open to either or, so.
And if we could start at 6 o'clock, maybe?
Okay.
Well.
All right, so Council Rourke, and then Council Martin. Council Rourke.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. If we adopt Councilor Mercia's timeline for the city manager, maybe that gives us time to get the auditors done next week. I know I'm skipping ahead, but if we have a week to spare, maybe we can get that portion done, then move on to the city managers the following week.
Okay, thank you, Council. Council Martin?
Well, I agree with almost everything that's Council Mercia is saying. I'm not sure if Friday night is a fair time for us or them. I wonder if we could do it on the Tuesday, the 25th, in lieu of a regular city council meeting. Anticipation that, we'll see what the agenda looks like for this week, but I anticipate there won't be a great deal of items, and that it wouldn't hurt to not have a regular meeting on the 25th. I don't object to those 3 nights or the Saturday in that week. I just think the Friday night's a little, people and from the public usually have plans on Friday nights, and that's probably not the best night.
So I'll entertain that be put in the form of a motion.
Sure.
So Martin, that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the last week of March, we will schedule interviews and with a holdover on a Saturday in the event that a candidate coming from out of town or any other candidate can't make it any of those 3 nights. Motion by Councilor Martin, second by Councilor everyone. Mercia, roll call.
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milonazo?
Yes.
Council Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
Yes.
Council Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Kennedy?
Yes.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Martin?
Yes.
9 yeas. Okay. Anything else on this? So, Ms. Callery, you'll initiate those communications tomorrow? Reach out to them? Did you have something?
Yeah, that'd be good.
6 o'clock. Good point. 6 o'clock? That should be part of the motion. Great. Just on that other individual, what did the person coming from Michigan, should we offer him a video conference call to conduct the interview if he doesn't want to incur the expense of flying out?
Well,
both of you had your hands up at the same time. Good. Council Kennedy and Council Mercy.
I guess just ask him what he wants to do. If he doesn't want to, if he wants, see what he's doing in Ohio, and then whatever he's, and then just do the same thing. And if he doesn't want to come and wants to do it by, over the phone or something like that, then that's fine. But
Right. Council Mercy.
that was my suggestion as well. How is he getting to Ohio?
Okay.
How is he getting there? If he's driving or flying, let him do the same here, but
Okay? Make sense? Okay. Just wanted to resolve that issue. Okay, moving on to the, Council Martin?
Just could we ask Ms. Callery to report back at Tuesday's meeting what's fixed and what might still be in flux at that point? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on the city manager? City auditor? Anyone from the public wishing to speak on the position of the city auditor? Anyone want to speak on the position of the city auditor? Seeing none, we'll close that part of the hearing. Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to comment on one of the 29 applicants. One of them had such an impressive resume that I wanted him to be the next city auditor. It was just that good. He didn't seem to have any qualities for a city manager, but he did. He was excellent for the city auditor's position. He should have applied for that. He would have been one of my choices, but. So we are now going to go and pick one more, then? Is it for the city auditor?
So what happened, just for members of the council and the viewing audience, there were 4 candidates that were selected, and the rankings were for 4 candidates, and one of the candidates dropped out. He was no longer interested in the position. So, Council Kennedy.
I would move that we move the next person up unless, do we know if it's a tie, the next person, or is? Okay. Okay.
Well, I think that's a good point, because if the next candidate is a tie, there could be
Then it's a, right.
2
But-
or
But
maybe
let's
even
assume,
3.
so let me offer this motion, assuming that it's not a tie, is that we move up the next candidate and so that we do 4. And I guess it would be the same format, so it'd be 2 on each night, so it's.
So while we're waiting for that information, should we discuss time frame? Was there a suggestion to do it next week for the auditor? Council Rourke?
Propose a motion, Mr. Mayor, to do it next week.
Motion to set up 2 interviews for 2 per night next week. Time frame, Wednesday, Thursday, Council Milonas, and then Councilor Samaras.
I'm just not sure if the council chambers would be open next Wednesday. I think the school committee meets next Wednesday.
They do.
So,
Good point.
again, we could do it down in the mayor's reception room. It just wouldn't be televised, so I don't, that probably, and I know on Thursday night, a number of us are going to the Kiwanis Club on Thursday night.
Oh.
So, don't get me wrong, I know
Okay.
that priorities are important, but that's right. So, Wednesday and Thursday might not work.
Is Monday too soon to do interviews? Is this council chamber available?
Oh, yeah.
Monday-
Mr. Mayor,
That's St.
zoning or
Council
planning?
Mercy has a subcommittee meeting
On the 25th.
on the 25th.
17th is St. Patrick.
Mr. Mayor, next
Council
Monday.
Kennedy?
Next Monday is a holy day for some of us.
Yes.
Especially me.
Very
huh?
holy.
Wow. Oh, Monday is out.
I know I won't be here, Mr. Mayor.
No, that's fine. St. Patrick's Day is Monday.
Could we
So what
include-
is the wish of the body? Is
about
Thursday
Sat-
available, do we know? Council
Thursday- How about
Samaras?
Saturday also? Include Saturday in this. So Thursday, Saturday? I mean, Wednesday, Saturday?
I guess we could. I know there's a
There's a-
flag raising this
And there's a Greek
Saturday.
event on Saturday, the 22nd, and it's in the mayor's
Mayor's reception room. Right. Saturday could be difficult. How about Thursday? Oh, Council Milonas, you have something on Thursday?
School committee.
Friday?
What about the following?
Anyone for Friday?
May have to, yeah.
Let's try
Council
early
Kennedy?
April. Let's try early April, Mr. Mayor, you might have better luck.
April.
April.
Mr. Mayor.
April 2nd on a Wednesday.
Council Belanger?
Yeah, I do agree, Councilor Kennedy. I mean, here we are saying, candidates for manager need a week or so out of respect for time, but in the other breath, we're saying auditor candidate should be ready next week. But I think it's, peak personal schedules here, the availability of this room make next week pretty difficult, unfortunately. So I think Councilor Kennedy's makes the most sense to put it off till April, unfortunately.
Okay.
April
Let's get a
2nd.
calendar.
So April 2nd is a Wednesday. April 3rd is a Thursday, that's good.
School committee is,
First and third. Is it first and second?
Second and fourth.
okay. So the first week of April, this room is open on a Wednesday. Is that good?
April 2nd, Mr. Mayor.
April 2nd, and then April 3rd. Oh, thank you, Council. April 2nd and 3rd. Does that make sense?
Sounds great.
Beginning at 6 p.m., council chambers. Ms. Gallery will notify the candidates, and if they cannot make either of those two dates, we will, maybe should be able to report back on Tuesday as well. So the report is the next person, the next candidate, is it a tie? Oh, you couldn't find Mike. Okay. Well, I guess one way or the other, we're going to need 2 nights, correct? Because we're doing a 90
so I
or
would just
100.
suggest that we keep it available and
Okay.
see what the tally is.
Instead of motion to schedule interviews on April 2nd and April 3rd with the city auditor
Good.
at 6 p.m. Motion by Council Kennedy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I had made a motion earlier about adding the 4th person, but that can wait till Tuesday. We don't have to make that decision now,
Right.
especially since we're putting these off until early April.
Right. Well, at least we schedule the timeframes, and if there is not a tie, then she can go ahead and schedule that. So we'll learn about that on Tuesday. Motion. Second on the motion, Council Mercia?
Second that motion, yeah.
Roll call.
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milonazo?
Yes.
Council Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
Yes.
Council Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Council Kennedy?
Yes.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Council Kennedy.
I would like to move that we table my motion to add a 4th person till Tuesday's meeting.
Motion by Council Kennedy, the table.
I'll put you on the table.
Hearing no second, motion fails. Any further business before the council tonight?
I have one
last
part of business, because we're ending on a funny note. I am hearing rumors that Councilor Belanger is the best dressed city councilor because he wears vests. And I just wanted to say if he could beat this one right here.
Whoa!
So that's that.
I think that's a challenge, Council Belanger.
I'm all done. I can't talk back, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr.
You
Mayor.
have the Irish spirit, Councilor Mercia. Councilor Belanger?
I'm sorry, I don't think I ever got an opportunity. You know, I do want to thank the public for coming out. We appreciate their interest and their concern in the city. We hear their concerns loud and clear. What they're looking for, we're looking for, and I trust and I know myself and all this council is going to vote what they feel is the candidate, what they feel is best for the city of Lowell. So I did want to say thank you for that.
Agreed. Further discussion. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Rourke, second by Councilor Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Have a good evening.